Hello, I'm Nadia Bilchik, and every week I try and bring you somebody who is ramplifying, somebody that we can learn from. And what do I mean by ramplifying? Someone who knows how to ramp up their business and amplify their customer connection. And today I'm very, very excited to bring you Alex Angelchik. And he is the managing director of the New Times Group of companies. And Alex, warm welcome. And I think you will do a much better job of explaining what you do than I can.
Okay. So New Times is it's a 60-year-old privately held company based in Hong Kong with 50 some offices around the world, 1,500 employees. And we do design, product development, production, quality control, logistics, administrative support for apparel companies, mostly apparel companies in the United States. So we work with all the major brands and retailers in the United States. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention their names, but you can.
But let's say we go
Yeah.
into a retailer.
Yeah.
And we buy this jacket or this shirt, which I probably, and who knows, you may have been responsible somehow in getting to the store that I bought it at.
Yeah.
Tell us the process that gets it to that store so we can buy it.
Okay, so we present fabrics. We have our own fabric company that we operate out of Italy, Turkey, and China, as well as India. And we present fabrics and concepts. Once the customer chooses the fabrics that they like, then we go into a design process. So we help the customer design. The customer meaning the retailer or wholesaler, gives us a design brief. We design a collection around that. We send it to them, samples, or we do it on 3D. We use our technology. And they work with us to amend the style so that it fits into what their collection looks like for their floor set. And then from there, we do sampling, protos, we cost it out for them, and we help them reach their IMU targets, their margin targets. And then we produce, we quality control it. New Times runs anywhere from a 96 to 98% first-time AQL, which means first-time pass rate for quality. We're a very quality-intensive company.
So then March around 11th, 12th happens, COVID-19 hits the world with force, and so many retailers are forced to momentarily close their doors. I don't know about you, but when was the last time you really went into a store shopping?
Yeah, long time ago.
So how did you deal with that feeling, that moment? And I know one thing, you haven't furloughed or let go of any staff.
That's right. That's right. We haven't. So we for some reason, we, like everybody, did not connect the dots. You know, China was in the middle of it. Hong Kong had a small bout of COVID. We knew it was going to reach the United States. We incorrectly assumed that the US government had time to prepare. That's not a political statement. It's just we assumed incorrectly. And we assumed that the US would be able to take care of this problem in a different way than China had. So when it started ramping up in New York, we kind of knew we had a problem. Customers were getting very nervous. They started freezing development and production. They weren't in their offices by middle of March. They had moved from office to home. Communication was sketchy with most customers because they had never worked that way. You know, just for a little bit of background, during the COVID scare in Hong Kong, we shut down our office, I think, for a total of 3 or 4 days total. We did not choose to work from home because, you know, in our industry, we do need to look at colors. We need to touch. Our technicians need to measure, and we wanted to be effective for our customers. So what we did is we put a lot of safety precautions in the office, from cleanliness to mask wearing full time in the office. The only time you could take off your mask is if you were alone in your separate space and you had four walls around you. We had temperature controls. We had very, very strict guidelines for our employees if they had traveled to China, if their family had traveled to China, if they knew friends that were in any way sick, even with a cold, you don't come to the office. And I can tell you, almost 700 people in Hong Kong in our offices, we haven't had one case of COVID in the office, thank God.
I'm curious. I mean, you're the managing director of this large group.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by the emotional fortitude and the resilience to not panic when there's so much going on. And that's what I want our listeners, our viewers, our readers of the book Ramplify to get from you. What about Alex Angelchik allows you to stay so calm under duress?
I was going to make a joke about drugs, but it's not true. I wasn't taking. I think everyone's inclination is to panic. Nadia, we've had a lot of sleepless nights, right? But we have been through SARS. We have been through the financial crisis, 2007, 2008. Our plan has always been service the customer, take care of your people. People, I don't own the factories and I don't own the brands in the United States. And I certainly don't own my people, but they're my asset. They're the only thing that I have to sell, right? My systems, my technology, my people. So first and foremost, we take care of our people. We make sure that they're safe and sound, right? Whether they're at work, if they're traveling, we recalled them. The thought of letting a bunch of people go never crossed our mind, because coming out of this, how would I service my customers? How would I grow my business back? To give you an idea of the magnitude of this, we're looking at, a 30 to 40% reduction in volume for this year. And that is in line with most estimates that my customers have in the United States. So it's a huge drop in revenue, a huge drop in profit for the company. So from a financial perspective, we did a lot of analysis very quickly. And, the other difference is we built the business together, my team and I, right? We took a business that was, large by agency standards, sourcing agency standards. But I can say that, the business has tripled, if not quadrupled, in the last 14, 15 years. So we know we've been doing something right. We have the confidence that we built the business to rebuild the business if we have to. And that's also a big difference between what I see many times in the United States with companies and in Asia. We my father used to say, a rolling stone grows no moss. We do not work through employees very, very regularly. Meaning,
so in our ramplification model, I think what you're describing is purpose and a passion. I mean, what you're saying is your people are your purpose.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. And when you work with a group of people for 15 years and you built a business like that, it's easy to communicate and to calm them. Okay, easier. Whereas if you're a new CEO, and what happens with a lot of businesses in the United States, not just in my industry, but in general, there's a lot of movement in and out of companies, a lot of movement in positions. We feel very strongly that we want to hold on to our people because there are, the Chinese would say they're our treasure, right?
That's beautiful. I just want to, reiterate the point that you're making, which is nurture your people, build trust, build loyalty if you are going to continue. And that's something that maybe people are so focused on bottom line, they forget the people are your treasure. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And so we were, I wouldn't say panicked, We were upset. We were, because, when our customers shut down, I can say that there was a lot of panic in the market.
Can we just have a pause there, though? Your customers shut down in retail in terms of store, but their online businesses, have you seen a huge reduction in online sales of
Our customers
clothing?
initially, our customers shut down retail almost immediately. In some cases, they shut down their distribution centers, in the beginning.
You see, you forget that. You forget that the distribution centers require people even for online. And with COVID, that became an issue too.
That's right. Those who are using third party continue to ship, and those who got special waivers from their states to continue to have people in the warehouse continue to ship. So it was a mixed bag. It was, I never experienced anything like this before, and certainly, I don't think anyone has. It was a complete stop of business, and so you have the financial issues around that. You have what do I give my people to do, right? I want them to come to the office. I want them to be engaged. They have to remain busy, right? I'm paying them. So, what do we have them work on? How do we help our customers? Right?
That's another one, right? How do we help our customer? Because in the model that we're talking about, Alex, of Ramplify, we're talking about reassess. And then we're talking about attitude and motivation. And what is the core behind all of this? And for you started thinking about your customer.
Immediately. We have to think about them. And we have to help them. I personally, and I think our company views, our business as kind of creating a tunnel. We want the customer to head down that tunnel with design, with logistics, with pricing, so that at the end of it, they purchase something and we've shipped it. That's how we make our money. So my immediate thought was, how do I get my customers back into that tunnel, right? So that at the end of this, I do have orders coming through. And we had people who were trying to cancel orders. We had people who were trying to renegotiate prices, people who were asking for big discounts. Those customers who had money, which was far and few between, were negotiating discounts based on early payment. And so at that moment, you have a choice to make. Do you get offended by people taking advantage of the situation? Or do you move forward? And I think that, my philosophy is, yes, you want to be respected, but you can't hold a grudge for people who are trying to take advantage when they're not sure about their future, right? People's reactions change. We saw people who we thought we were very dear friends with behave very poorly, and people who we thought were difficult business people behave impeccably with us. So it takes a crisis to really show you how people are going to behave.
But that's so interesting, right there and then, is in a moment of crisis, they say, cometh the hour, cometh the man.
Yeah.
In a way, your years of training, and I know you studied international marketing.
Yeah.
What prepares anybody for this kind of scenario? But it's also that awareness of how are you behaving right now? And the people who have behaved impeccably, that's their reputation, right? And that's right. A reminder to all of us is, how are you behaving in a crisis?
That's right. And that's all you have. At the end of the day, as a business person, whether you have your own business or you're a member of a big company, you have your reputation. And particularly in the United States, where people are moving jobs so often within their company and outside their company, they forget quite often that their reputation follows them. And so how we treat each other, how we treat our employees, it stays with you. We shouldn't sacrifice our morals and our ethics in business because of a crisis. And so that is what we continuously talk about in our company.
So now that we are several months into this,
Yeah.
what do you feel? What's Alex Angel Chick's plan, and what are you doing that we can learn from?
My plan is probably to take a vacation as soon as possible. Um, I I I think that we've gone through stages. We went through the shock of COVID. We went through um, the phase where everyone's asking for discounts and canceling orders, and we're negotiating. I call it the cleanup phase of this crisis, and now we're entering into the stabilization, and then we'll get to the opportunity. Right? It's very difficult to see the opportunity when you're in the cleanup phase, although it does exist. There's ways to make money in the cleanup phase of any business. But during the stabilization, we should always be looking forward for the opportunities, right? Are there customers who were destabilized that from another company that we can bring in? What are our competitors doing? How do we take advantage of this situation now that we have our feet on the ground, our customers have their feet on the ground, we understand who has money, who may go bankrupt, who took inventory, who didn't take inventory, and then how do we arrange ourselves to take advantage in the opportunity phase, which is coming, and that's where we are right now.
Alex, I'm so excited to see what you'll do, because you've certainly managed to navigate this well. A question I wanted to ask you, you're somebody who really has got what we call cultural agility. You've managed to work, the company's 22 offices, 17 countries.
Yeah.
As we become increasingly virtual, what do you think your particular skill has been in navigating different cultures, and what can we learn about whether it's Asian or Middle Eastern? What have you done skillfully? Because not everybody manages to be so flexible across cultures and backgrounds and ethnicities.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough to be raised by a father who was raised in South America and was born in France. And I have cousins, growing up that I would stay with in Morocco and France, and I was traveling constantly. And I've been fortunate to be able to live in Brazil and Japan, in Europe, in the United States, and of course in Hong Kong for many years. So yeah, it's ingrained in who I am. And I have to say, though, a lot of people I work with in the United States on the customer front do have that ability as well. You're born with something, right? And if you're not, you develop skills towards being able to manage internationally. I think that one of our key learnings is really to let the countries behave the way they should behave, meaning culturally. We do not try to put everybody in the same box. Our office looks the same whether you're in Italy or you're in India, but that's about it. We have quality guidelines. We set the guidelines for what our customer service requires. But inside, we allow the Italians to be Italians and the Indians to be Indians. And dealing with COVID, that was a challenge as well, right? Different cultures react differently to this pandemic. They react differently to business. There's a lot of drama in some cultures and not in others, right? If you take the Koreans or the Taiwanese versus the Italians or the Indians, there are very dramatic differences in culture there.
Like what? I mean, give us some specifics.
We're be in trouble, but Indians tend to be very emotional, outwardly emotional. Italians as well. They're offended. They're upset. They're scared. Right? They're scared of the virus. They're scared to come back to the office even when the government says it's okay. So we are, I would say, very soft and gentle. We let the local leadership make those decisions.
I think respectful is such an important word, right? Deep respect, not expecting to Americanize everything, but understand that do unto others as they would have done unto them.
We want people to work in the culture that they're comfortable. And that extends not just to cultures, but to religion, to sexual orientation. You want everyone to be doing what they're good at. That's right. We don't want sweater people working on jeans, and we don't want an Indian working in a very Americanized way either. We want everyone to be comfortable in their own skin. Yeah.
So, Alex, here we are. Hopefully, there will be some kind of vaccine for COVID. What advice and guidance would you give to somebody who's watching this and saying, I'm still in panic mode?
Mm-hmm. Calm down. We're, I don't know if we're halfway through or we're, in the beginning or close to the end, but it doesn't really matter. I think that you have to adapt. You have to be flexible. We started selling masks, within a few weeks. We reorganized our factory base and we've been selling masks. We've sold hundreds of thousands of masks. And it wasn't because we were making so much money selling masks. We didn't gouge anybody. We're selling masks for under $2 for a reusable mask, a washable reusable
Where
mask.
do we get them, Alex?
You call me. Yeah, I wish I had a website set up, but I don't, because I never wanted it to be our core business. I had people, in our Miami office, for example, who started work March 1st. So what does that director do with his time? And he was very flexible and impressive to me because he jumped right in and he started selling masks, and he's made a lot of money and helped the company selling masks and helped a lot of people in our community here in Miami selling masks. So, be flexible, look for those small opportunities. Keeping yourself busy and keeping your company moving forward is part of staying sane in this environment, right? And my boss who founded the company always says, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. You might think you're standing still, but there's no such thing as standing still. You have to be moving forward in business, in life, in everything you do. And so that helps me stay calm.
Alex Angelchik, fantastic wisdom, guidance, advice. Again, somebody who is really managing to navigate the COVID crisis with sanity, and I can see a sense of humor. Thank you so much, Alex.